The Avs have traded Carl Soderberg to the Arizona Coyotes for a 2020 third round pick and Kevin Connauton. Let's dig into this.
Oh! Como has a breakaway.
My very first initial thought of this trade was the Avs did not get very good value for Soderberg here. A third round pick and a essentially seventh defenseman for a guy who put up nearly 50 points last year. On the surface, looking at this, the Avs gave up a third for Derek Brassard, a player who scored less than half the points of Soderberg. Not a great look. And while I do believe that the Avs probably didn't get value for Soderberg, there are a number of other things at play here as well. Firstly, Sakic did show for the first time that he can move assets out to recoup something when they are a pending UFA. This is new territory for him, and while he may have not gotten the value I wanted, if you'll remember, he traded a sixth for Carl Soderberg's rights a few years ago, and now he's getting a third and a player back. So, in that regard, he actually gained the Avs more than he gave up over the course of this player. Let's look at what the Avs have coming back the other way a little bit. A 2020 third, that's just not a ton of value. I'd be a lot more comfortable if that was a second, or if that was in this year's draft. It seems like the Avs couldn't get this deal done on the draft floor, so they had to settle for a pick next year. I'm not going to complain too much about this one. Having the Avs bring in draft picks for these types of players is something I've been asking for a long time, so you will at least take that in principle. And then you have Kevin Connauton, which gets a lot more interesting. If you look at the Avs roster, they certainly don't need another 7th D. But maybe there's a reason for that. According to Mike Chambers of the Denver Post, both Erik Johnson and Ian Cole, who had off-season surgeries, won't be ready for the start of the season. And all of a sudden, the Avs blue line is looking pretty thin. So if you don't count Cole and Johnson, the Avs signed defensemen currently for opening night are Makar, Girard, Barry, Barberio, and now Connauton. The Avs will certainly add Graves to that list to make 6, and potentially Byram as well. In fact, this is actually a great opportunity for Byram. I think it may be a perfect time to give him 9 games at the start of the season before sending him back to juniors. If not stick with the team, his chances of that definitely go up, but I'm still not expecting it. And that's where Connauton comes in. He can step into a role if Byram's 9 games are up, and you can drop him in as a 6th D pretty safely. On top of that, he may even be in over Barberio, who is someone the Avs have shown they don't really trust to play. With over 300 games of NHL experience in a lineup without a Johnson and Cole, Connauton would be the second most veteran player on the ice behind only Tyson Barrie for the Avs. And this is a bit of a double-edged sword for me. You can absolutely see why the Avs would want that as an insurance policy, especially if Johnson or Cole or both are going to take a decent amount of time to get back and healthy in the lineup. On the other hand, if they had given more opportunities to a player like Nicholas Milosh last season and were willing to trust their young guns there, this could be a role that they filled internally. The Connauton usage will be a safety net for the Avs, and I do believe they will use it, but at the same time, it is also going to block some prospect opportunities. The other part of this trade is the Avs free up over $3 million in cap space, and Connauton is on the final year of his deal before hitting UFA as well. So this is not a long-term attachment to any players, and despite the Avs already having a ton of space, this frees up even more. Given that the tampering period is open and the Avs freed up cap space here, this screams to me that the Avs have something fairly big in the works for free agency. Now, I don't know who or what exactly those plans are. It could be one player, it could be multiple, but with the amount of cap space they already had, they were able to do a lot. Now they can basically do anything they want when it comes to that. And my working theory is that's going to be something big. So on the surface, this was a trade that the Avs probably didn't get value for their player, and They could have done a better job of that, no doubt about it. But beyond that, they got something for a player that would have walked for nothing at the end of this coming season, which is something that is new ground for them. And they also gave themselves 1, a safety net, and 2, even more room to do something else, something bigger. For the most part, this is kind of a shoulder shrugger. These are things that they could have accomplished in other ways, but this is the way they decided to go about it. It also does leave an interesting hole in the Avs roster, with Soderberg being the Avs 2C for the past handful of years. How are they going to choose to fill that? They do have plenty of prospects chomping at the bit to take that role, but none of them have proved they deserve it yet. And again, we'll see what they do in free agency. On Arizona's side, take good care of Soderberg for us. He was great 3 out of the 4 years we had him. He will be rock solid for you in all 3 zones and coming off a very strong season of 23 goals, which is a career high for him. I fully expect him to serve you quite well as a middle 6 center for this year. The one-eyed Yeti just became a one-eyed Coyote. One other quick bit of news, the Avs did not qualify 5 of their RFAs, including Sven Andrighetto, Spencer Martin, Mason Geertsen, Sergei Boykov, and Julian Nantel. None of those are surprising at all to me, and the only one that had any NHL impact really was Sven Andrighetto. As far as the NHL is concerned, we knew that was coming. For the Colorado Eagles down in the AHL, this wasn't unexpected either. Mason Geertsen is a little bit of a surprise because he was a great character guy on that blue line, and their blue line is already quite thin. So that was a little bit interesting to see them not bringing him back. And the Eagles are going to have some work to do to fill out that blue line. Of course, Connauton helped push a player down onto that, so that may have had something to do with it. We'll go ahead and wrap it there. This seems like a chess move, just one part of the board here with coming free agency. That is the end of this trade video review. Thank you for watching, and as always, a special thank you to all of my contributors on both PayPal and Patreon. I appreciate all of you guys so very much. If you enjoy my content, consider throwing a couple of bucks my way in the links down in the description of the video. I'm Rudo3, and this trade looks weird right now.
Avalanche time, come on, grab your friends.